Ribeye, cut from the rib section between the 6th and 12th ribs. Ribeye is known for the rich marbling that runs through the center of the steak. Those fine streaks of intramuscular fat slowly melt as the meat cooks, naturally basting it from the inside and creating a juicy, flavorful bite without the need for much added fat or sauce. That's why ribeye is often considered a flavor-first steak. It may not always be the absolute most tender cut, but it delivers one of the boldest beef flavors you can get from a quick cooking steak. Ribeyes perform best under high heat, whether on a grill or in a cast iron pan, allowing the exterior to develop a deep crust while the interior fat renders just enough to keep the meat moist and rich. New York strip, also known as strip steak or sirloin strip. This cut comes from the short loin located just behind the ribs. Instead of heavy marbling throughout the muscle, the strip features a distinct fat cap along one side. That fat layer protects the meat during cooking and enhances flavor without dramatically affecting the interior texture. Compared to ribeye, the New York strip has a firmer chew and a more structured bite, while still delivering that classic steakhouse flavor. It sits comfortably between lean and fatty. It's often the go-to steak in American restaurants because it handles simple, high-heat cooking exceptionally well. Filet mignon. Taken from the tenderloin, filet mignon comes from a muscle that does very little work during the animal's lifetime. Because of this minimal use, the muscle fibers remain incredibly fine, making filet mignon the most tender steak available. The trade-off, however, is flavor. Since the tenderloin contains very little fat and connective tissue, filet mignon has a milder, buttery taste rather than the bold beefiness found in fattier cuts. It's typically served thick and cooked quickly over high heat to prevent it from drying out. Chuck comes from the shoulder of the cow, a heavily worked muscle group. Because of that movement, chuck contains more connective tissue and less fine marbling than premium cuts. It delivers a strong beef flavor, but it can be firm if not cooked properly. Chuck is often best for slow cooking, but when cut into chuck eye steaks, it can be grilled carefully over medium heat. Round steak is taken from the rear leg. Since this area sees constant movement, the meat is lean and relatively tough. It has very little intramuscular fat, which means it lacks the natural juiciness of fattier cuts. Round is typically marinated before cooking and benefits from slicing thinly against the grain to improve tenderness. Sirloin sits behind the short loin near the hip. It strikes a balance between affordability and flavor. While it doesn't have the heavy marbling of ribeye, it still delivers a solid steak experience. Sirloin has a firmer bite and works well grilled, pan-seared, or sliced for stir-fry and kebabs. Flank. Steak comes from the abdominal area. It is lean, with long visible muscle fibers running in one direction. Flank is intensely beefy but can become tough if overcooked. High heat and fast cooking work best, followed by slicing thinly against the grain to shorten those muscle fibers for easier chewing. The T-bone combines two steaks in one strip on one side and tenderloin on the other, separated by a T-shaped bone. This gives you both a firm, beefy texture and a softer, delicate portion in a single cut. The bone helps retain heat during cooking, slightly improving moisture retention. Porterhouse is structurally similar to T-bone, but cut further back where the tenderloin section is larger. That means you get a full strip steak and a substantial piece of filet in one serving. Porterhouse steaks are often large enough to share and are typically carved after resting. A tomahawk is essentially a ribeye left attached to a long Frenched rib bone for dramatic presentation. It contains the same marbling and flavor as a traditional ribeye, but is cut much thicker. Because of its thickness, it is often seared first and then finished in the oven to ensure even cooking without burning the exterior. Tri-tip is a triangular cut from the bottom sirloin. It contains a mix of lean meat and a fat cap along one side. Known for its roasty flavor, it is strongly associated with California barbecue. Tri-tip is often cooked whole like a small roast, then sliced thinly across the grain for serving. Wagyu refers to specific Japanese cattle breeds known for extreme marbling. Unlike standard steaks where fat sits around the edges, Wagyu contains fine, evenly distributed fat throughout the muscle. This fat melts at a lower temperature, creating a buttery texture that almost dissolves on the tongue. Kobe is a specific type of Wagyu raised under strict conditions in Japan's Hyogo prefecture. It must meet precise grading standards related to marbling, texture, and quality. Only a limited number of cattle qualify each year, which contributes to its high price. A 5 is the highest Japanese beef grade. The grading system evaluates marbling, color, firmness, and fat quality. A 5 Wagyu represents the most intensely marbled beef available, often cooked in smaller portions because of its richness. Even a few ounces can deliver an incredibly concentrated flavor experience. From ribeye marbling to Wagyu grading, each cut tells a different story about muscle, fat, and heat. Subscribe to Food Decoded for more breakdowns of the foods you eat every day.